Howdy! Today we're talking about one of the classic American Westerns. Hey, I'm Amy and welcome back. I just finished watching High Noon and to be honest, this is probably going to be one of the shortest videos I have in my 1001 challenge. I really couldn't get into this movie and the book just has absolutely nothing on it besides a short summary. Frank Miller, the crazy killer who used to run the sleepy western town of Headleyville, New Mexico, is rumored to be out of jail and is on his way back to get revenge on the marshal who put him there, Will Kane, played by Western icon Gary Cooper. Meanwhile, Kane is preparing to retire after marrying peace-loving Quaker Amy, played by the incomparable Grace Kelly. When word gets out that Kane is on his way back, none of the townspeople want to help him, so Kane is left to defend Headleyville on his own. The only other information that the book offers is that High Noon is a stark allegory of the fear and suspicion prevailing during the McCarthy era. This symbolism is still relevant, especially in today's society, with the culture of social media and fake news. This is a very classic Western movie. It has all of the same details in the story, the same beats, and even the production is very Western. There's music that is very obviously Western music, like what you hear in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. There is the same story beats of a bad guy comes into town and everyone is afraid of him coming in, and a good guy has to come in and save the town, but he's retired, so he has to come out of retirement and save everybody. And there's almost always a conflict between the good guy and his wife or his girlfriend, so there's always that little bit of drama and romance between the two of them. And then in that same vein, the woman always gets kidnapped by the bad guy, and the good guy has to do something kind of daring to make sure that his girlfriend or his wife doesn't get hurt by this guy while also taking down the bad guy in the process. And of course, someone is playing the harmonica.
Why don't you put that thing away?
The main reason I chose this film for this week is because I had just watched Blazing Saddles, and in the book they talk about how Blazing Saddles is basically a riff on this movie, and I can kind of see where Blazing Saddles got a little bit of its inspiration from. There's a title song that pretty much just summarizes a little bit, for the most part in Blazing Saddles. It doesn't really summarize the movie, but the song for High Noon kind of summarizes the movie.
Ain't believing until I shoot Frank Miller dead.
And it's also the same song that kind of opens the movie up as well and closes it out. The only other point in High Noon that I noticed Blazing Saddles took some inspiration from was the fact that some of the townspeople weren't too fond of Kane. Like, half of them didn't really like him as the marshal and the other half did, which I will get to all that in a little bit. But in Blazing Saddles, nobody liked the new sheriff because he was black, and that was more of a plot point within the story. Whereas in High Noon, they kind of just, it was there, it wasn't really like something super big. But talking about that though kind of gets me to why I wasn't so fond of this movie. Like, to be quite honest, I fell asleep twice while watching this towards the end, and I just totally lost interest about 3/4 of the way through. I just could not get into this because there was a lot of it that I really didn't understand. Like, the storyline was easy to follow, like this bad guy's coming to town, the main guy is getting married and he was like the sheriff or the marshal or something, but he's retiring because his new wife doesn't like violence, and then the bad guy comes to town or is coming to town and he has to stop him. I mean, for the most part it's just very easy to understand, but for me it was kind of confusing as to like why the people weren't so fond of Kane in the first place. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, were they liking the fact that this Miller guy was controlling the town and that Kane put him away in jail? Like, I just really did not understand some of the points of this movie. And it was also very slow. It was slow to build up anything, it was slow to go anywhere, it was slow to explain anything, if it explained some stuff at all even. Maybe it's just not my cup of tea. Like, I like a lot of Westerns, it's fun to watch them. Like, The Searchers is a really great one, but that's also one of the most classic Westerns of all time. But movies like this just maybe aren't my cup of tea, just because I like more of a fast-paced kind of thing most of the time, and it's just did not really have a pace. if that makes sense. One thing I really did enjoy about this movie though was how they utilized the time motif, and supposedly this movie is pretty much in real time from the time that Miller's little lackeys run through the town all the way up to the standoff at the end. Is pretty much the entire hour and 20-30 minutes of the movie is this entire time span, which it doesn't feel like it does feel like they kind of jump around a little bit, like some of this stuff would have taken a little bit longer or took different amounts of time, and it feels like it's over more of a day than an hour and a half. But I really like the way that they use the clocks in different scenes, kind of going close up on them, showing different time passaging and counting down to noon when Miller gets to town. The clip I chose for this was very hard to choose, not because there's so many classic scenes in this, but because there's a lack of classic scenes. Like, I didn't know what to choose. I had to look up classic scenes from High Noon or just iconic scenes from High Noon, and I just finally chose one that I thought stood out a little bit, and it's just a kind of classic Western theme scene. And that is all I have for High Noon. As always, these are just my opinions, but I would love to know yours in the comments down below. What do you think of High Noon? Do you find it as boring as I do? Are you a big fan of Westerns? Let me know. If you want to know which movies I've watched so far, or just follow along with my progress, there's a link to all the movies I have checked off the list so far in the description box. The next movie I chose to watch is a Spielberg classic that will be celebrating its 40th anniversary in December, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you, whoever you are. Let me know who you are in the comments down below, and let's be friends. If you enjoyed this, leave a like and subscribe if you're new, because I talk movies, TV shows, filmmaking, nerdy fun stuff, and I would love for you to join me. So I'll see you guys next time, and have a great day. Bye!